Hey guys, welcome to the UF Disciple channel. Today we're going to be unboxing, doing an overview, and reviewing the Galax GTX 950 EXOC Extreme Overclocked Edition. So let's get started. Alright, so let's just jump into unboxing this thing. No special thing required besides a knife, which actually, to preserve the integrity of the box, let me just peel off the sticker instead of cutting it. Alright. Come on now. My thumbs are always too big for this portion, and I just got a paper cut. Ow. This isn't fun. There we go. Okay. Let's go. There we go. Get out of the box. Okay. Oh, very. Oh, look at that. There's a hole there. Okay. So just a nice matte block. Box. All right. Some nice foam at the top. A user's manual. Check that out. A driver install CD. Just chuck that. Install the drivers from the website. Setup. Accessories. Ooh, VGA to DVI. 2-pin or Molex to 6-pin. Nothing else in there. And then let's get to the main. Oh my goodness. Okay. I'm taking this out of the bag. Let's get that out. Look at this. Oh man, this is beautiful. The GeForce GTX 950 Galax. Nice. White. And look at that. It even has a back plate. My goodness, I was not expecting that for a 950. Alright, so I'm going to get some beauty shots of this thing. You guys are going to watch that. I'm going to go over the specs, and I'm also going to benchmark this as well as some other cards and some future videos. So, I don't know why I talked about the future videos here, but this video is going to focus on the GTX 950, and we're going to see how it plays several games like, what do I have? The Witcher 3, what else is there? Man, why am I forgetting the games? I have Grand Theft Auto 5, Far Cry 4, all of those. Popular titles of today, and we're going to see how the GTX 950 handles them. So let's do that. The Galax GTX 950 EXOC White Edition card is an entry-level GPU sporting an all-white shroud, similar to the Hall of Fame Edition cards, also produced by Galax. The 950 sports 2 white fans for cooling with a white backplate cover, which is really nice to see on an entry-level card. Another feature for this entry-level card is its ability to support SLI. For the output, it has one DVI-D, one DVI-I, one DisplayPort 1.2, and an HDMI 2.0 port. For power requirements, it is recommended that you have at least a 350 watt power supply, and the card only requires a single 6-pin PCIe power connector. Last but not least, on the physical specifications, the 950 EXOC White Edition also sports 2 white LEDs on its fans that give it a nice look. For the technical specifications, the Galax GTX 950 has 768 CUDA cores, 2GB of 128-bit GDDR5 VRAM, clocked at 3,365 MHz out of the box. The 950 EXOC comes with a base clock of 1,203 MHz, and my card had a boost clock of 1,412 MHz. I was able to overclock my 950 EXOC to 1,518 MHz core clock and 3,866 MHz memory clock. So with the overview of the card out of the way, let's get to the benchmarks. For all of the benchmarks, I ran the card with my i7-6700K, which was overclocked to 4.4 GHz, and I had 32 GB of DDR4 2133 MHz RAM. I tested a variety of games at different graphic settings with the resolutions of 1920 by 1080, 2560 by 1440, and 3840 by 2160 for 4K. I tested the GTX 950 with Batman Arkham Knight, Crysis 3, Far Cry 4, Grand Theft Auto 5, Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor, Tomb Raider, and The Witcher 3. Each of these benchmarks was run at both the stock speeds out of the box for the card, as well as the overclock speed that I was able to obtain. Each of the game was run at its highest graphic settings possible in each of the resolution. Feel free to pause the video at any point to take a further look at the graph, since I will be displaying the minimum, maximum, as well as average frame rates for each test, but I'm only going to be discussing the overall highlights. So let's start with the worst part about this card, its ability, or rather inability, to play games at 4K. The 2 gigabytes of VRAM is a huge limitation here, and as you can see at stock speeds, the card barely pulled over 10 FPS in most games. And the overclock had the least impact at this resolution as well. After overclocking, 16 FPS was the most that could be achieved in any game. At 1440p, the card still struggled with modern AAA titles at the highest detail settings. Last generation's Tomb Raider is playable at this resolution without too many frame rate dips, and Arkham Knight manages over 30 FPS while overclocked, but with some stuttering, with the lows being around 18. All of the other games suffered with averages in the low to mid 20s and some dips into the teens at both stock speeds and while overclocked. Moving on to 1080p, here's where the GTX 950 shines. The 950 managed over a 30 FPS average without major dips in every game besides The Witcher 3. The Ultra setting appeared to be too much for the 950, and strangely enough, The Witcher 3 actually got worse performance when I overclocked the card, and that actually happened on multiple GPUs, not just the 950. If you want to average over 30 FPS in The Witcher 3, you'll have to drop the settings to a manageable high. Overall, the card does well, but still doesn't hit above a 60 FPS average in any game at the highest detailed settings. So what's the conclusion? Well, very obviously, do not buy this card if you're looking to game at 1440p or 4K with decent graphics qualities. However, the card does really well in the 1080p category. At the highest details, the Galax GTX 950 performs admirably and makes all of the major titles playable. And if you're willing to drop the quality settings a smidge, you'll be able to hit that 60 FPS sweet spot. With the GTX 950 being the entry-level card that it is definitely a respectable card. And with Galax making the white edition that looks like a Hall of Fame card, and in fact the box is actually pretty much identical to the Hall of Fame boxes, it has a beautiful backplate. This isn't a card that you would be embarrassed to put in your system. So a solid build quality, decent overclockability, SLI support, and a good 1080p performance at the budget price of 2,949 South African Rand or 160 US dollars means that this card gets my vote. And I'd like to give a huge thank you to Wootware for sponsoring this video on the Galax GTX 950 EXOC White Edition. Currently, they're the only retailer in South Africa carrying this card, and they should be your go-to company for any of your computer hardware needs. Whether it be monitors, graphics cards, hard drives, peripherals, or anything else, Wootware has a huge selection, incredible prices, and a super helpful customer support staff that makes Wootware the obvious decision. So if you're in South Africa, head on over to wootware.co.za to woot up your life. So that's it for my review of the Galax GTX 950 EXOC White Edition. Like this video if you found it helpful. Dislike it if it was more disappointing than the time Geraldo Rivera opened Al Capone's vault. Yeah, that was underwhelming, to say the least. Subscribe to stay up to date on future graphics card reviews, including 5 more Galax graphic cards reviews coming up. You can also use my Amazon affiliate code down in the video description to support my channel financially, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers.